Hey there, and welcome to GamePoints episode 141, your weekly source for gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, we are going to be very somber. Just go ahead and get this right out the way. If you haven't heard, there was a horrendous shooting that happened in Jacksonville, Florida yesterday. A man, and I hesitate to call him that, we'll just call him Fuckstick from here on out, shot up a Madden tournament because he lost and couldn't just fucking handle the bans. I'm going to read to you an article from USA Today. All this will be presented down below in the description if you're watching this on YouTube if you wish to read this yourself. But I do caution against taking a listen to the audio. It is rather graphic. We will not be playing that here, nor will I be bringing up the paper here like we normally do. This is from the USA Today, so credit goes to them. 3 people died and 11 others were wounded Sunday after a shooting rampage during a Madden 19 video game tourney in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office said the lone shooter was among the dead and had taken his own life. While authorities had not released the names of the 2 shooting victims, multiple media outlets, including Florida Today of the USA Today Network, reported they were Taylor Robinson, 27, of Ballard, West Virginia, and Eli Clanton, 22, of Woodland Hills, California. Sheriff Mike Williams said 9 of the injured were taken to the hospitals, 7 with gunshot wounds, 2 others sought hospital care on their own. I don't want to get too deep into this story, but it would have been irresponsible for us not to mention it. It is big. It is something that happened.
It's completely horrifying.
This fucking loser who couldn't handle not winning is dead. So, good, in my opinion. Fucking coward turned the gun on himself after killing 2 people. It's terrible. If you want to read more about it, like I said, there will be links posted on the YouTube description. I just wanted to mention that out the gate because, like I said, it would have been irresponsible for us not to do so. And I think that is going to do it on this topic, unless you have something you want to add, David.
Dude, this is kind of terrifying because there's been a lot of crazy shit that's happened, and stories like this come from all over and all different like walks of life and affecting different kind of people. But for me, I have a friend that lives close to there. Like, this is legitimately their game bar.
I didn't
This
know
is
that.
where they go. Like any other weekend, if it wasn't Madden, if it was something else, if it was a fighting game, they would be there.
I did not know that. I didn't know you knew that people were actually tied to this place.
So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, I mean, the owner is technically like a friend of a friend kind of situation. Like, I don't know the owners on like a first name basis or anything, but it's scary.
Yeah.
And this kind of shit coming into our world, where we've always had like the escapist place. Video games are
Mm-hmm.
where you go to retreat, where you find a safe space, where you can find other
It's
people
where
like
you go to
you.
get away from shit like this.
And having this brought in is just horrible. Um, yeah, I don't really want to get too deep. Like, we don't have solutions. We don't know what the answer is. We just
No.
know that this is fucked up, and we really don't want this to happen again.
Yeah. And we're not going to be going into what needs to be done or what should be done. There are plenty of other shows for that.
Hmm.
Uh,
We just needed to bring it up
yeah.
because not
It,
bringing it
it
up
would
would be
be
disrespectful
yeah, it would be
to people that.
negligent not to mention this. So, with that out of the way, we're going to do a hard transition into the rest of the show. It's going to be jarring as hell, but just everyone kind of take a breath. If you want to go to read more about it somewhere else, by all means do so. Totally understandable. But the rest of the show does have to go on. All right. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the other news of the week, which seems weird to say
Yes, but
after all this.
let's talk about video games. We are a show about a means of recreation, so let's
Yeah,
talk about recreation.
exactly. So, let's go ahead and go into what is possibly the biggest not that story related thing. And today, oh god, it still feels weird to transition, but we'll get back on the right footing as we go on. So just bear with us. Uh, the guys at CD Projekt Red released they kind of stealth released this, and it appeared up on Twitter, and not Twitter, Twitch and YouTube, and a bunch of other places where they were just showing a bunch of what looked like computer code running in the background. This ran for like 45 minutes or so, and gathering all kinds of people to show up, and chat was at fever pitch when they finally started to play the trailer they showed of Cyberpunk 2077 featuring pre-alpha gameplay at E3. This was rumored that this was floating out there.
Gameplay reveal trailer, which also happens to be 48 minutes long.
Yeah, it's long, and the clip itself is like an hour and a half. The goodie bits start around 31:15. Once again, I will be linking that trailer in the description down below if you want to take a look at it. Just skip to that
I'll
point.
be editing his link with the better link that's literally just the gameplay video.
Yeah, do that. That's probably a lot better.
Yeah.
What did you think, first of all, David? And by the way, if you're watching us live here, feel free to pop that into there too. And Real Pie Master, thank you for popping in the chat. Thank you for re-upping your sub with Twitch Prime, it looks like. And no, David is not a subscriber.
Why did I subscribe to my own channel?
And Vince Nitro, welcome to the chat. I'm so glad that you're here as well. We just did a horrible story, so we're moving on to some good stuff, so I'm glad you guys could show up. Let us know what you think about 2077 as well in the chat below. But David, why don't you go ahead and give us your breakdown? Also, Salty Frank of the Seven Seas, god damn, it's good to see you too. Thank you for the bits, by the way. I don't know when you throw those in there. Once again, I know I keep interrupting you, but David, what did you think of 2077?
Is anyone else going to interrupt me? We good? Okay. I'm hyped for this because I like CD Projekt Red as a company. Like all the interviews I've read of those guys, they seem pretty cool.
They seem like they get it, right? They seem to be very gamer first.
They have like mandatory like time off for their employees. They have crunch, but then they're like, hey, you've been here too long, you need to go home. Like our game will be done when it's done. We don't have hard deadlines.
And as dumb as it sounds, I remember when I bought my copy of The Witcher 3 and opened it up, and there's a goddamn thank you note from CD Projekt Red in there. I know that sounds stupid, but it's little amazing. Things like that is just you don't see that.
It's fantastic. But I'm actually remarkably hyped for this. I think we've had this conversation before, but I'm always more of a sci-fi fan than fantasy. So, like, I like Fallout more than I like Skyrim. That's just the thing. And this is everything I love packed into one game. It's a first-person game that reminds me a lot of, like, the Deus Ex series.
And that's a big change for The Witcher, bro. That's a big change from anything else they've done so far, which has always been third-person RPGs.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm a hard sell for Cyberpunk. I love everything that's just powered by synthwave music and retro-styled cars.
Now, how well do you know the actual Cyberpunk franchise? Like, not Cyberpunk
now, the
as a
actual
genre,
legitimate Cyberpunk franchise, I'm remarkably not versed in, which is hilarious. Okay. Because I'll consume any other related media, but I don't read what started it. I just like Blade Runner a lot.
Which brings me up to something I do want to mention. You mentioned Blade Runner. One thing that kind of, I wouldn't say surprised me because I have a little bit more knowledge of the Cyberpunk franchise, but if you're thinking that this is going to be Blade Runner, you are going to be disappointed. This is very much more punk and Fifth Element than it is Blade Runner. Yeah, things are still dystopian as shit.
Which I'm cool with. That makes it more fun.
But there's daylight.
I like the atmosphere of Blade Runner, but I wouldn't want to live in Blade Runner. This looks like a world that's interesting, that has depth that I actually want to be in. And for being pre-alpha, it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, Vince Nitro, I would say it's a little bit like Snow Crash. It's definitely on the punkier side of Cyberpunk than the hardcore William Gibson stuff. So, yeah, it's a lot like Snow Crash, it seems. You could take a look at the trailer. It is long. It's 40-some-odd minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, but it's a lot.
A couple things I wanted to mention that I noticed from it. One, super fucking M-rated. I mean, like, there's people...
It's CD Projekt Red. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, there's full nudity. You have people with their eyes ripped out because they're clearly getting sold to, like, organ donors. You're getting your arm, like, more or less ripped out and replaced with something else, so you can just see it going on in the background. I kind of cringed at that.
It's fantastic.
It is.
I like the part where your eye gets ripped out and you get a new one, but they turn that one on first, so then all of a sudden you're looking at yourself.
Yeah.
That's so good. Oh man, I can't wait to play this
One
game.
of the things I like too, and this was something just simple that I noticed, is that when the gangers that you're fighting are shooting at you, they're speaking a variety of languages, but your translation device makes their text appear above their heads like they're
Yeah,
NPCs in an MMO, and it translates them for you. And it's
it's
done
so
up like as if you have that software actually installed. It's done up to be in game.
yeah, it's great. So there's constantly subtitles so you can understand what people are saying, but it's all popping up above their heads because your eye mods are telling you what people are saying no matter what language they're speaking, which is pretty fantastic.
It doesn't
Um,
sound as impressive with us describing it, but
yeah, you
if
gotta
you
watch
look
this
at it,
video.
it'll make sense.
Instead
Streets
of,
look
instead of watching an episode of TV later, just watch the
yeah.
flippin' Cyberpunk footage. It's so good.
The city looks extremely busy. It's not just two or three people just standing around in what's supposed to be a just massive megaplex. It is
Right?
crowded. And I have to wonder if you can actually start pull out your gun and shooting people, or if this is just like a hub world that combat's disabled in. But it didn't look like it because everything we saw was presented with minimal loading screens. There's no like
They're,
forced doors you go through or anything.
yeah, they're trying to make it a completely seamless open world, like a big giant area. Um, so I'm imagining you could do anything, but I could see them very easily putting in like a contextual, like, maybe I shouldn't do that right here, kind of internal monologue. Like, oh, I just got into a bus. Maybe I shouldn't have a flamethrower.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
So
I don't think they're trying to make GTA. They're trying to make a rad cyberpunk story.
see, that's what I'm wondering about the transportation, by the way, because in this trailer they mentioned that you can get into a variety of cars and bikes, etc., and you get in the car and you drive around. But I don't know if that's going to be completely open world, as in I can just drive my car through fences and then through a building if I can kind of wig my way into like think Grand Theft Auto, or if it's going to be confined to the street like say Final Fantasy 15 was. No word on how that's going to be, if it's going to be open road or not. What do you
Yeah,
think,
and we
David?
still don't even know what this game's coming out. They
Yeah,
haven't.
this game is, well, I want to say they let the cat out of the bag a little bit and said it might be for next gen consoles as well. I need to find the source on that, but if that's the case, that means
They
no earlier than late 2019.
they also had a recent tweet come out from their dev handle, I guess, that said that the storyline, the main storyline of the game, is now playable from start to finish
Yes, I did
on
read
their
that.
code. They can play through the entire main story. Now, obviously, there's a ton of other stuff to add and graphical fixes and bug fixes and everything else, but the core story's there, and that's awesome. Now they're just gonna do 800 million side quests because it's not a CD Projekt Red game unless it's 160 hours.
Right, and I'm so down for that. So I want Salty Frank in chat says he's joking. That moment when you accidentally change the language on your Cybernetic Eye to Mandarin. If I recall, there, Salty Frank. I know that was said as a joke, but if I recall, I believe that they're going to have, like CD Projekt Red announced, they're going to have like 20 different spoken languages in this game. And if you don't know Mandarin, you have to go find the translation chip to shove into your head so you can understand Mandarin when it pops up above people's heads. Like, you don't
I,
get that stock.
I also like the fact that everybody has a weird like USB slot in the back of their neck, and they just grab all these circuit chips and jam them into their brain. That's pretty good.
So, game aside, I personally think we're closer to this future than you might think. I
Well,
think like shit like cyberware is going to happen within our lifetime. What,
it's
am
possible.
I on the branch here? Does no one else think that? Because I'm convinced that within 20 years we will have the thing that we just plug into the back of our head and jack into the matrix, as it were.
It's possible. I anticipate like robotic limbs and stuff before then, because we're already working on that. I don't know too many people that are working on
Oh, it's all
in-body
connected. It's coming.
software nonsense. Yeah, we'll
Vince
see.
Nitro, yeah. From what I understand, you say polygons will have a native Vantage plane. From what I understand, it's going to be actual understandable language. So if someone is conversing with you in French, if you know French in real life, you're going to get what they're saying. So technically, yeah, polygons will have a native Vantage plane.
Oh man, this
I
looks great.
I am
So
so
excited.
excited for this game. It looks amazing. I highly recommend you all take a look at the trailer. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. The game looks just fantastic. Also, one more thing I want to touch on. I know I said I think they might have hinted that it's going to be for next gens. I also think that this game is farther along than CD Projekt Red is hinting at. I would not be surprised if they came out at E3 next year and said, yeah, this game is going to be released October 20th or whatever the third week of October
Yeah,
is.
I could totally see this coming out just
And they're going to
in
do
the
it.
pre-holiday season of next year.
They're going to, and if it doesn't, I still maintain that they're going to do the Fallout 4 original announcement when they come out and go, hey, by the way, here's the release date. It's like 2 or 3 months away.
Yeah, super soon.
And yeah, my gut Vince Nitro is that's going to be a launch title for next generation games. It's going to be like, remember when PlayStation 3 was dying and you were leading to PlayStation 4? And you had all those games that would be like playable on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, but really you want to get the PlayStation 4 version because the PlayStation 3 version is kind of garbage. I get the feeling that's what Cyberpunk is going to be like. It's going to be a cross-generation game. Anyway. Yeah, same here. CD Projekt Red games run usually very, very well on PC.
Hopefully they build it with ray tracing, so those new GeForce cards are useful.
What is ray tracing? Not to go off on a tangent
Science nonsense that at the current time is completely useless to you. Like that's the funny thing about those graphics cards announcements. It's everyone's like, oh my god, ray tracing, it's the future.
No games are
going to use it.
No, at all.
Games are going to start being built with it now, but like what's funny is actually getting like the 2080s when they come out probably isn't going to be worth the money because they haven't released the base hardware specs that says that as just a card, it's better than the old ones. Because every spec they release talks about ray tracing, and most games don't use that.
No.
But that's a complete weird tangent. Sorry.
Absolutely. Sorry, I don't have any follow-up to that at all.
Yeah. Sorry, I get excited.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, which I'm also super excited about, and I was hoping they would do this. So a few years back, PlayStation 4 had this exclusive called Until Dawn, made by a studio called Supermassive. And it was an excellent 80s horror slasher system. Sorry, I'm also reading chat at the same time. An excellent 80s horror slasher film. Done in the way that David Cage and Quantic Dream does their games, but better than anything David Cage has ever done. And I kept thinking, okay, when is Until Dawn 2 coming out? They released Until Dawn Rush of Blood. Okay, cool little VR game, but not what I'm looking for. Then they released The Inpatient, which was a prequel to Until Dawn 60 years earlier. Awesome, cool idea. Still not what I'm looking for. Well, we finally found out what Supermassive has been working on in this article here from Eurogamer. There you go. Until Dawn Super Dev goes multi-platform with the Dark Pictures Anthology. First up, Man of Medan. The Until Dawn developer is working on publisher Bandai Namco to bring horror titles to PC via Steam, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Here's the official blurb. Essentially, each game in the series will feature a brand new story set. Long story short, because I completely already lost where I'm at, because I'm so distracted today for some reason. They are making a horror anthology series. Yes. This is what I wanted from them to do. I didn't want them to go, here's Until Dawn 2, and it's the same characters. I remember sitting down thinking, I want this to be like the Masters of Horror movies, or a Twilight Zone, or Night Gallery, where it's each individual game is contained into its own story. And that is what they're doing. And the first one, Man of Medan, is going to be a ghost ship, like a modern day evil ghosts come on a cruise ship and it looks like they try to murder everyone. And I am so excited for it.
You really like horror games.
I love horror games. God, I love horror games.
You like being spooked.
I hate the fact that I
love being spooked, but I do like atmosphere.
This looks to be up your alley then, if you're considering that, because it's definitely atmosphere.
I'm not really. I don't play like Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't need just raw jump scares.
Well, see, I don't like jump scares either, which is why I hate the fact that I don't get many AAA horror games anymore, because if I have to turn to the indie scene, there are some great indie horror games out there. Amnesia, for example, is one of them. Same with Soma. The same guys made that. But way too many of the indie horror games don't know how to do atmosphere and just rely on nothing but jump scares. And I hate that.
That's not fun. Get me invested in the world.
And I'm so excited to see them, Supermassive, make this horror anthology series. So if Man of Medan does well, you're going to have more of these come out in this Dark Pictures anthology. Also, something to note, not PlayStation 4 exclusive anymore. It is coming to PC and Xbox One as well.
Well, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, down, especially on PC. Looks like they already have some star power lineup for it. By the way, one of the main characters looks to be Sean Ashmore. If you don't know who he is, you might recognize him in Quantum Break. He was the main guy in Quantum Break. I think his name was Jack Joyce. Remember, Quantum Break was that Xbox One exclusive with time travel, and also had the
TV show,
the live action TV show involved. I mean, I kind of like that was cool. But if you never played that, you might recognize him as being Iceman from the X-Men movies and The Following. He was apparently in The Following as well. What do you think? Are you excited for this at all?
I'll probably play it. I'm not overly excited, but that's because I still haven't played Until Dawn. I'm pretty sure it's in my queue somewhere.
I think you should play Until Dawn, and it might have even been a PlayStation game for free. It might have been a PS Plus game at one time, so you might already own it.
Yeah, if it was, I probably already downloaded it. I don't know. Whatever shows up on that, I just end up picking up, and then I don't look at it.
Vince Nitro, I did play that Slenderman demo that came out a few years back, and that's exactly what I'm talking about how horror games don't really do atmosphere too well, but rely almost exclusively on jump scares these days for the indie scene on PC. There are very few of them, in my opinion, that actually do horror. They do the tense, something might come at you and scream in your face thing, like the Slenderman game, but nothing really does... Nothing does that thing where I'm like walking down a corridor and there's nothing in there yet. I'm still like on the edge of my seat. That's what I'm looking for in a horror game, which is also what I'm looking forward to Resident Evil 2.
The first 12 minutes of Dead Space 1 until you figured out the gimmick.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that.
Where you don't know if things are coming from the walls or not. And then you realize that when you walk into a room, every single body's going to get up and you just start stomping on things as soon as you go into a new room.
Well, hey, they start changing it up. They do the insanity thing. I can go on about how the first Dead Space 1 is actually a true horror game. Like
I do really like the first one.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
So,
but yeah, I'll wait and see. At this point, I'm still just outrageously hyped for the Resident Evil 2 remake, not a remake.
Remake. I also heard rumors that a remake of the original remake, is not off the table.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Tank Control's remake?
I have no idea.
HD remaster?
Yeah. Once again, Vince Nitro, first 3 minutes of Doom. Doom 3 specifically, not Doom 2016, but Doom 3 when they tried to make it survival horror in that same vein. Either way, I am super excited for this. I'm glad to see Supermassive stick with horror. I'm glad to see them sticking with the formula that was so great in Until Dawn. I'm glad to see them go multi-platform with it. I was for sure positive that Sony would have just gobbled these guys up after Until Dawn. They never did. I think that might be a mistake on Sony's part. We'll see. David.
Let's talk about something I'm excited for. This is ridiculous, okay? We're in this fancy time where things from your childhood keep getting brought back
everything
for no
old
damn
is
reason.
New again.
Everything old is new again, and we are going back to the streets, my friend. The Streets of Rage.
Oh, yes.
.emu has announced Streets of Rage 4 is in the works. Keeping in mind that Streets of Rage came out in 91, 2 came out in 92, and 3 came out in 94. So, yeah, it's been a while.
It has been quite a while.
But yeah, once again, we got Axel and Blaze back as playable characters. This art style, for some people, they don't love. I think it's awesome. It's got a cool, like, animated, not really cel-shaded, just ridiculous game style that I'm going to play the heck out of.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on the art style myself, but I think I can get used to it. I need to see the game flowing better than I can see here.
It's like hand-drawn visuals, and I'm imagining it's going to be tons of fun.
If the animations are very smooth and slick, I think this art style can do it justice.
Yeah, side scroll and beating them up, release now, and the same time where I'm getting all these great Metroidvanias constantly. Yes, I'm fine with this. Let's do it. Someone announced Turtles in Time 2. Let's go.
Oh God, it's from your lips to God's ears.
Right.
So let's think about this. We live in a time where in a 2.5 week time period, we had Chasm, Dead Cells, and Guacamelee 2 come out. 3.
There's way more than that.
3 within 2.5 weeks is what I said.
Okay.
With a 3 amazing Metroidvania games. Right? Can you think of another one that came out? Am I forgetting one?
Well, I guess it doesn't count, but the expansion or the DLC that you don't pay for Hollow Knight also just came out.
Oh shit! I completely forgot about Hollow Knight. Okay.
And that game's fantastic.
So, what I'm getting at is I'm hoping that Streets of Rage 4 brings back the brawler.
Yeah, dude.
I want another final fight. I want to play Mayor Hagar again. I want a Simpsons arcade cabinet 2. That Simpsons arcade brawler, by the way, one of the best brawlers you'll ever play. It is up there with X-Men.
If they bring back all the 2D brawlers, then that means maybe someone will take a chance on 3D brawlers, and I'll finally get the Bouncer 2.
You're never getting the Bouncer 2, man. That ain't happening. The closest you'll get to the Bouncer 2,
Durgan C. Mikado.
The closest you'll get to the Bouncer 2 is the Quiet Man, which was that weird Square Enix. They teased it very briefly at E3, where it was the guy whose death it appears, and he just beats the hell out of everyone around him. And that I thought might have been the Bouncer 2 for a second, but that's the closest you're going to get to that. Either way, Streets of Rage 4, I can't believe this is happening in the same time that Windjammers 2 was coming out.
Yeah, that's also ridiculous.
Also done by Dotemu, by the way.
Good on those guys. Taking a chance. Yeah. Taking a chance on an old franchise. Although, to adjust chat really quick, Real Pie Master's asking if we're going to talk about the Soul Calibur DLC.
Absolutely.
And I will for a minute, because they are bringing back a whole bunch of characters, and they haven't even finished announcing the core roster for that game. And so they just showed off that Tira is going to be a character. And Tira's like a fan favorite. A bunch of people have been asking for her. Then they said that she's going to be DLC.
A mainstream character.
They haven't even finished announcing the core lineup, and they said, hey, by the way, Tira's DLC. What the fuck are you doing?
A mainstream character to the series, lopped off behind a DLC paywall. Get fucked.
Day one.
Get fucked. Like, and then you look at Smash Brothers, which has every character ever in a Smash Brothers game, all from the get-go.
It's just stupid.
There's
way better times to announce it. There's way better ways to announce it. The way they went about that was completely asinine. And while I'm excited that Tira's in it, it's just stupid and frustrating that they would ever do it this way.
First off,
I can't believe they didn't have any amount of foresight, and that maybe gamers don't like hearing about all this shit you're going to lock behind a paywall before your game's even out.
First off,
maybe
Waluigi, the world is not ready for him. We have to wait another year before the world can truly embrace the power that is Waluigi. Second, I can't remember his name.
Wait, you didn't see the comic?
I did see that, actually, when he gives the ticket to Daisy.
Yeah, he gave his ticket to Daisy. That's what happened. That is 100% canon.
So the real comment that I was going to make is, I can't remember his name, but one of the lead producers of Soul Calibur was once quoted as saying, the characters in Soul fighting games are like chess pieces, right? It's like everything is like a chess game. You don't want to take something out because it'll fucking unbalance everything else. Clearly, that mentality has been tossed by the wayside. Because these two things can't be true. Either the game is like a chess game, and it completely unbalances the game to take a character out, because everyone's been balanced around everyone else, or this character, or the game is not like a chess game, and these characters can be swapped out at will. Which one is it, Bandai Namco? Are these characters all important to each other because they all counter each other's moves and have different balance sets and need to be in the game to create a robust experience because they're all tailored to be balanced around everyone? Or are all of these characters completely worthless and you can just swap them out in and out and it doesn't fucking matter who any of these people are? Which one is it? That's all I want to know. Introspect, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for showing up.
I just like the fact that they did an interview with the producer, and they said, why did you decide to announce the DLC character now? And he said, well, she was a little complicated and needed some adjustments, so we decided to release her as part of the season pass.
Isn't it like one of 3 season passes, by the way?
His answer is basically, she was a little bit more complicated, and we felt that having her as DLC would help sell more season passes. Like, what the fuck?
If you want an in-depth...
I mean, I guess it's nice that he's just completely honest and said, we did it to make more money. We really like money, and we'd like the gamers to give us money, especially for things they want.
Turns out people are willing to spend money on shit they want.
Weird.
If you want an in-depth rant on this specific topic. I didn't make any notes on it because I didn't think it was going to be something we get into. But if you want a more in-depth rant on this with a lot more information, you can check out Jim Sterling's channel over at YouTube, the Jimquisition, and he goes on like a 10-minute blast about how fucked up this is. Anyway, Soul Calibur 4 DLC wrapped up. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. David.
Soul Calibur 6, you were close.
What did I say?
4.
I'm way off.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, let me know what you think about that Soul Calibur 4 DLC, by the way, too. David, let's go ahead and go into the next story. I'm going to let you lead this one, too, because this is, I mean, I love it, but this is your jam.
Okay, well, this one's from PC Games N. I don't know why there's an N at the end of PC Games website.
Because PC Games is probably taken.
That's fair. But Paradox, those kids that we like, have announced Battletech Flashpoint, which is DLC to that rad Battletech game that came out not too long ago. It's the first expansion for its turn-based mech opus. It's adding a whole bunch of new mechs, missions, and a new biome. Lush tropical environments.
I'm actually kind of excited for that, by the way, because this screenshot doesn't do it justice, but I can see it playing in the background, and I'm excited to know what additional features that.
Let's talk about the fact that they're adding the Hatchet Man and the Cyclops and the Crab to the game, and that if you're a Battletech fan, that's good news. If you're not a Battletech fan, it's a game about giant robots fighting each other to the death in the 31st century, and it's great.
From the article as well, there's more than just robots being added. This is from the article. Paradox has announced Battletech Flashpoint, the first expansion for its turn-based mech opus.
Man, I said that part.
It's adding a string of new mechs, new missions, new biomes. Did you say this already?
Yeah, that's exactly
I could have sworn you said it completely differently. I'm sorry. But anyways, Flashpoint, back to the missions. I'm sorry, I'm reading chat. I'm distracted. This is a shit show tonight. Bear with us. Bear with us. New mission types, however. Flashpoint missions aren't single contracts, but a string of consecutive missions, and ones that you won't be able to repair your mechs in between. Think of Black Hawk Down style rolling conflict, where you're able to extract and keep objectives changing. So what that means is essentially think of a mini campaign, 3 to 4 missions long, and what you take, you have. You better be prepared to go in for the long haul, which is going to be interesting because a lot of times the way I played, I would take in the heaviest squad that I have, your Steiner Scout Lance, as it were, and just charge forward, get the shit blown out of me, but I'm still standing by the end. I can't do that anymore on these.
Just no finesse?
No, I
might run like a light and 2 mediums and maybe a light heavy.
God, no. I always would run the Steiner Scout Lance with the heaviest possible mechs I could find. That's just how I played that game.
That's funny. Anyway, this is a game that's based on a board game that was based on a book series that was based on, I think, a tabletop RPG. I might have those last two mixed up.
It started off as a tabletop RPG.
Then we had a whole bunch of cool video games in the 90s, and then they kind of faded away, and now we finally have this, and it's probably my favorite Battletech-related game, honestly. I haven't had this much fun since Mech Commander.
That's a tall order. Mech Commander was so good, by the way. So, yes, Battletech Flashpoint DLC coming out soon, and here's where you can get a little bit salty. Harebrained Schemes has joined Paradox.
That's true.
I love Paradox. I love what they put out. Hearts of Iron 4 has suddenly become my jam. I don't know why, but I love it. But there is one thing Paradox loves. That is DLC.
Oh, yeah, they do. Oh, man.
You are going to see tons of DLC, for better or worse, way higher price than it should be, being cranked out for this. But
that means you can wait a year and buy it all on Steam sale.
Yeah, if you want an idea of what I'm afraid the Battletech DLC would turn into, look no farther than games like Hearts of Iron or Stellaris and their DLC lists.
Go check out the DLC list for Crusader Kings. Cut all that shit out that he said, and look at that list.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous how
and everything's
long it
coming
is.
in at like $3 to $5 a pop.
And I want to see if you want to buy all the DLC for Crusader Kings. Isn't it like in the thousands of dollars?
It's a lot. I don't know what the total cost is, but it's a lot.
Let us know if you happen to know that in the chat down below, by the way. But it's a shit ton of money. It is way too much DLC. And
you can buy the entire Crusader Kings 2 collection bundle for $268.
That's with shit on sale.
It has 63 items.
God damn it. That's something I hate about Paradox.
That's a lot of DLC.
So, I mean, Paradox giveth and Paradox taketh, I guess, because I'm excited for Flashpoint DLC. But goddamn, am I terrified to see where they take this game. All right, so that aside, last week was Gamescom. Big games conference over in Germany. Whole bunch of stuff released. Nothing here major enough to get its own story, so we're going to kind of do a bunch of quick things down through here. Starting off with, once again, something David's probably super excited for. I know I kind of am too.
It's ridiculous. Let's be real.
Saints Row the Third has been announced for the Nintendo Switch.
THQ Nordic, what are you guys even doing? The hits can't stop coming. The funny thing about this isn't even the newest Saints Row game. That would be Saints Row the 4th.
Yep. And then Get Out of Hell, which was like the standalone expansion not too long after that.
So yeah, this is the third, but the third is also arguably the best Saints Row game because it's when they finally embraced being different than Grand Theft Auto. And before they went completely off the rails and turned everybody into superheroes like they did in 4. Vince, nice to see you. How's it going? And I'm excited because maybe that means we'll get the 4th one, and then GAT, and then boom, Saints Row 5 for Switch. Saints Row 5 Switchblade Edition.
We'll see. Apparently this is coming in March. I could have sworn I read something like that somewhere, but I can't confirm it anywhere. As far as Saints Row 5 goes, they sure as hell aren't going to be making Agents of Mayhem 2, because that game did not do well. So they might
Agents
go back
Mayhem
to Saints
2
Row.
is based on one of the possible endings for Get Out of Hell, and there's a whole... Well, there's a couple endings for Get Out of Hell, but one of them could easily be turned into a 5th game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, exciting. Saints Row the Third is one of the best GTA game clones you'll ever play. And the reason why it is so good is because that's when that franchise realized not to take itself so seriously. Yeah. They flirted a little bit with it in 2, but it was 3 when they straight up said, let's stop trying to be GTA and let's just be our own thing. Yeah, Salty Frank, you and everyone else forgot Agents of Mayhem.
I'm still mad about Agents of Mayhem. I was actually kind of on board with it, but the problem is that they misled everybody into thinking that it was going to be a Saints Row game, and then they finally pulled the rug out in like the last trailer saying, hey, this isn't a Saints Row game. This is like a single-player story game.
By the way, here's Johnny Gat.
But yeah, we're going to use the Fleur-de-Luce and Purple and Johnny Gat and everything Saints Row related to try and sell this to you. Oh, and then it's broken as hell. Ridiculously buggy, can't finish missions. The game's unbalanced. It's practically unplayable most of the time. It's just rough.
Well, it's why they're going back to that series' high point. Volition. I love you guys. I love Volition's jam. I love Red Faction Guerrilla. I'm glad they gave me Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition. That was a fun to play through again. Love the Saints Row games. But guys, I need for you to dig deep in your hearts. There's one series you guys worked on that I love and that you haven't touched for almost 20 years. And no, I'm not talking Summoner. I'm talking Free Space, The Great War, Free Space 2, those great space combat sims. Give me a third one of those, man. The time is now. Look, we have Windjammers 2 coming out. You can fucking give me Free Space 3 and tell me what happened to Admiral Aiken Bosch in the flagship Iceni as it goes off to join the Shivans in the wormhole beyond Gamma Draconis. You can tell me why the fucking Shivans sent 20 different juggernauts to blow up the star around Capella. I need to know these answers, Volition. I need for you to tell me where you are going with Free Space.
You don't want Summoner 3?
Fuck Half-Life 3 even. Give me Free Space 3. You want to talk about unresolved shit that is bothering me? Half-Life is nothing. I can think of something on my own to make Half-Life end, but I need to know where you were going to Free Space.
All right. Well, you got it straight from the Stevens mouth.
Volition, also, listen to me.
Other shit from Gamescom.
Other shit that came out from Gamescom. We had Shenmue 3 get a new trailer.
And a release date. It's coming out.
August 27th, 2019. If you like Shenmue, I'm so fucking excited for you because at least you guys get closure to your story. You're not like these poor son of a bitches like me that have to sit here wondering what happens to Free Space 3. No, I don't fucking get that. You guys get a closure, though.
Man, I've been waiting like, what, 15 years to kick that one guy's ass?
I've been waiting 20.
Yeah, well, Dreamcast kids need love too.
Uh,
Also, we got Luigi's Mansion coming to 3DS on October 19th.
there's no way this is not coming to the Switch.
Um, didn't Luigi's Mansion already come out?
GameCube.
Like, didn't they make a 3DS version that was basically the same thing, Luigi's Mansion 2 or whatever?
Oh, they might have. I don't remember.
I don't remember what it's called, but
But
there's definitely a Luigi getting ghosts game with a vacuum cleaner.
I have to look into this, but there's no way that Luigi's Mansion is going to be coming out on 3DS on October 19th, and they don't make a port for this on the Switch. Salty Frank says they did make a DS version of Luigi's Mansion. I don't recall it at all.
I thought it was a sequel.
It could have been a sequel. It could have been Luigi's Mansion 2. I just flat out don't know. But that might be cool.
They should just make a Super 3DS that plugs into your Switch so that you can play 3DS games.
Yeah, that might be cool. And it's like the old Super Game Boy or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea. Cool idea, but unless it's coming to the Switch, I am done with my 3DS. It has been packed away. It is not coming back out ever again. Also coming out, that was announced at Gamescom. The Dark Souls Trilogy coming October 19th, 2018 for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. That is a couple months away.
It has all 3 games, including the remasters of Dark Souls 1, and costs just as much as they tried to charge for Dark Souls 1 Remaster.
Which is exactly what I was about to comment, is that keep in mind that Bandai Namco's pricing is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So
this is going to have like the last edition of every single game and all the DLC, and it's going to be cheaper than the fucking last game they came out with.
And people are still going to buy it. They're going to buy this because they love Dark Souls, and I'm not going to fault them for that. I get it.
Yeah, I love Dark Souls. Who
really is the audience for this?
Who doesn't already have these games?
Yeah, if you're going to buy these games, who does? It's so limited. It must not have cost all that much for them to do it. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I would be curious to know if this is just download vouchers or if it's actually 3 discs or how they're doing that.
Now, see, if they just throw all the games on a Blu-ray, that'd be rad.
I don't think they're going to. I get the feeling that this might be...
Yeah, it's going to be like the remaster on a disc and then codes for the other 2.
Yeah, that's how I think this might come out. Well, I want to look more into that and find out. Salty Frank, following up on the Luigi's Mansion sequel, he says, I think it was on Wii U and the 3DS, it might have been a sequel. If someone can confirm that in chat or down in the comments below, please do, because I know this exists. I just don't know anything about it. It's like a weird blank hole in my memory. I can't tell you.
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Is that what it was?
That was the 3DS game.
Okay. God, I don't even remember that subtitle. Also... Yeah. Finally, the last bit of information at Gamescom that I found relevant, keep in mind a whole bunch of other stuff came out, but we're mainly focusing on things that we enjoy. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown, will launch on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One January 18th next year, with the PC version February 1st.
And you will be sitting in front of your computer, hammering the refresh button, waiting for that game to have a playable button.
Do not bother me for 24 hours after that game launches, because I have been waiting for them to go back to Strange Real, which is their weird, fictitious universe that they made for Ace Combat, technically 3 now, because it's part of the canon, all the way up till 0. Then they try to modern day it with some newer ones. Ace Combat 7 was technically in Strange Real, but really it's not part of the Holy Trinity, which is 4, 5, and 0. And this looks to be... Oh, it looks so good. And by 7, I meant 6, not
I'll give you 2 days with it.
In two days, yeah, I would have unlocked everything by then, because these games are
just because
long,
we have
but not too long.
It comes out on a Friday and we have a show on Monday, so I'll give you.
If you don't think I won't delay the show or cancel it that week, if I'm in the middle of something, you are sorely mistaken, my friend.
Oh man, everybody watch out for our February stream, which is just him playing Ace Combat.
A little bit of a problem, though. Not a problem, but kind of disappointing. I thought this game was going to be fully in VR, but I heard it's really only be 5 missions in VR.
Womp womp.
But they are missions.
Gran Turismo Sport?
Yeah, they're kind of doing that. But they are missions that are built from the ground up for VR. Like, I read the justification behind it. They didn't want to shoe in missions that wouldn't work in VR into VR because it would seem weird, and they didn't want to make a game based only around VR when only 3% of the PlayStation 4 owners can play it.
We'll see. You're going to play it. You're excited.
Okay, so things to watch for this week. As we ran out the news, we're going to go up to a news segment that it's not going to happen every week, but just every now and then when there's information coming out that we know about that you might want to keep an eye on, here's a couple of them that are coming out this week. One, PAX West is happening August 31st to September 3rd.
And if you're going, you can meet me. I'm
are you going?
I'm totally going. We've had this conversation. You just don't like me enough.
Yeah, I'll definitely need an IV bag. So don't expect too many big game announcements at PAX West. It tends to be a far more, hey, this is what we have already, just kind of get in the hands of players. But there could be some information coming out from there, so we'll be sure to check
also
back in on that Monday. Also expect me to
have a whole bunch of, like, gameplay hands-on time that I get to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably not a whole lot of AAA, because those lines are hours and hours long. But
yeah, to hell with that.
We'll see what I can get into.
Hit up the Indie Mega Booth. There's usually some good stuff there.
I know at least 3 people.
Also, something that you might want to keep an eye on, a Nintendo Direct, possibly the last Nintendo Direct of the year, is going to be happening tomorrow, Tuesday, at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. They will be showing off, quote, multiple unannounced indie games coming to the Nintendo Switch.
It's their Nindies stream,
as
it's known.
Don't be surprised if Streets of Rage 4 is on that list.
Yeah. It's a perfect fit. Let's take some Switches into a room and all play Streets of Rage together.
Right. Regardless of what is announced, it's doubtful that any of that stuff will be coming out this week, however, David. So
the
if I wanted...
might, you never know.
Maybe. But either way, let's assume that they won't be coming out for a while because you fucking kill the bit if they don't.
Yeah, okay.
If I wanted to play something this week, David, what could I play?
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And Real Pie Master, I will do my best to remember that Twitter exists and constantly tweet PAX updates. as much as I can remember, if I'm not sitting in line. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out this week. Some of it great, some of it okay, and some of it I don't know anything about. But we're going to talk about it all anyway. We're going to start up with Bad North, which is coming out for PS4 and Xbox One. This, I think, came out on Switch already like a week or two ago. It's a very simple-looking but sometimes complex real-time strategy game about defending your island from incoming Vikings. It's kind of cool. There's a bunch of different islands, and you're just basically building troops so that you can keep your island your home and not lose it to Vikings. It's got a simple art style, but I kind of like it, so take a look. You also have Blade Strangers coming out for PS4 and Switch. This is a hardcore, old-school fighting game. It's got a 4-button control scheme. It's got combos. It's got counters. It's got all kinds of stuff. This is I guess, semi-hardcore 2D styled fighter. But the fighting roster has a whole bunch of people from other games, including people from Code of Princess EX, Cave Story, the Umahari series, Binding of Isaac. Like, Isaac's in this game. I think Mom's
Wait,
like
what? Really?
Yeah, Shovel Knight's in this game. Golden Volt's in this game. There's a whole bunch of people. So this is like the indie game fighter, more or less. That plays like an old school like Street Fighter or King of Fighters. So keep an eye out on that. We also have Donut Country coming out for PS4 and PC. As far as I can
County.
Tell, Donut County. All right, well,
this
is basically Katamari Hole Edition, where it's a physics-based puzzle game where you play as a hole in the ground, and you eat stuff, and then you get bigger, so that you can eat bigger stuff, so that you can get bigger, so that you can eat bigger. Seriously, it's Katamari, but as a hole in the ground, right?
Right. We were given a code for this game in advance. Thank you, Ben Espetito. I do appreciate it. You can find the review on our channel. I'll also link it in chat right there. Long story short, it is an amazing little physics-based puzzler game that has all the charm of a Katamari, but unfortunately, it's only like 2.5 hours long. So if price to time ratio is an issue for you, if you need to get as much money out of a game as you can, might be a little expensive for you. I beat the game, and I was like, damn, that's it? I really want more.
Buy Sailor Pass, Steven. Come on.
Buy it. $12.99 on PlayStation 4 at the very least. It's worth that just for 2 hours of relaxation.
No, don't even need to wait for a sale. See, that's saying something. That's
why
we got.
I really wish that game was about 3 or 4 times longer than it actually is, because I ended it and I wanted more, and you could see more in-depth analysis. It's like a 5-minute clip on what I just posted right there. I want more. I want a lot more. But it was good.
Well, maybe Paradox will buy it and you'll get a ton more.
No, bad.
Also coming out this week, we have Fear the Wolves on Steam. This is a competitive battle royale FPS by Vostok Games. Isn't this a stalker, guys? So you're in Chernobyl, and
Might be.
you're being pursued by mutants and radiation and anomalies and weather and other
Oh
people.
yeah, it's not. It's
So
not. I don't think it's made from the people who made Stalker, but it is Stalker-ish.
yeah, it's Stalker adjacent. How's that?
Right.
But yeah, it's the, I guess, now traditional 100-player battle royale experience that has solo and squad modes, a bunch of guns, attachments, armors, airdrops, the regular stuff. But it also has a PvE element to it. So there's wolf packs that'll stalk you, mutants, weird, crazy anomalies, radiation damage, a lot of stuff, and a 25 square kilometer map.
I get the feeling
So-
this might actually be good Twitch bait.
Oh, I'm sure. It looks interesting. So we'll see. If it's more polished than PUBG, then I'll take a look at it.
What isn't?
Also coming out this week is Fern's Gate for PS4 and Vita. Wow, look at that. Vita guys, you can play another JRPG that looks like every other like 2D JRPG game I've ever seen. Legend of Heroes 5.
I mean, we could. I'm not. I was about to say don't mock it, but
I'm not
whatever we're gonna
mocking.
mock.
It's just watching the trailer, it's hard for me to differentiate from the vast array of other animated style 2D JRPGs I've seen in the last 2 years.
Fair enough. And I'm in the same boat with you.
I'm not intimately familiar with the source material, and if you are, power to you. To me, it's another RPG. If you can't get enough, there you go. There's a new one.
You know,
But
that's
if
something
you're like
that the
me,
Vita.
and you tend to kind of wait for real good ones, maybe pass.
That's something that the Vita's been really good for. Is if you love like every single JRPG that comes out, the Vita is your chosen god of systems.
Yeah.
Because they all come out to the Vita.
And visual novel games.
And visual novel games.
So there you go. Also coming out this week, we have Fire Pro Wrestling World for PS4. This game's been out on Steam for a while. It's currently sitting at a very positive review. This is the crazy, ridiculous wrestling game where you can customize every single aspect of the match, from your wrestler to the ring to your fights to all the rules. Fire Pro Wrestling is a game series that's a little bit ridiculous and I guess a lot of fun from everybody that I've talked to that's played it. But
long-standing franchise, been around forever.
Yeah. We have Firewall Zero Hour for PS4. This is a squad-based PSVR multiplayer shooter. So it's a like 4v4 team shooting game. I guess maybe Rainbow Six Siege E or adjacent. I mean,
that might be comparing it to.
I mean,
it's
that's
a VR game, man. So
yeah, no, that's not a nice comparison to Siege because that's obviously going to be the better game. But they're trying their best. Let them try. And so yeah, if you want to play that, you can. We also have Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate coming out for Switch. This is the ultimate third generation Monster Hunter game. It's very important that I say that. If your only experience with Monster Hunter is Monster Hunter World, this game is not that. This is going to take you through a whole nother place. This is the old style of Monster Hunter, so it's going to be actually less forgiving, less quality of life, but way bigger and way more stuff to do.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how this
game
is going to get
It's got
received.
93 monsters in it, triple the monster count of Monster Hunter World, even with all the add-on monsters.
Because you're right, this is Monster Hunter of old, so I'm kind of curious how many people who got into Monster Hunter World as their first big Monster Hunter game, like myself, for example, who jump into this thinking it's going to be the same.
I don't think you'd even like this game.
Yeah, because I didn't like the original.
Because you've only played World.
Yeah.
It's got loading between every single zone in a level, which is fun because you can cheese monsters and jump through the level loading area so you don't get hit by things. But you have to find whetstones. You have to build pickaxes and bring them with you. You have to build bug nets. You have to carry combination books because sometimes if you combine two items, you don't have a 100% success rate. There's a lot of stuff that Monster Hunter World did that made this franchise a lot more playable and beginner friendly. This doesn't have any of that. But if you're willing to look past it, this is going to be a outrageously content-filled Monster Hunter game. Because it still has the same style combat, still has all 14 weapon types, and they get even more complicated with hunter arts and all these other proficiencies you can get. And you can even play as the damn cats.
The Palico things?
Yeah, the Palicos. You can play as a cat. Also coming out this week, we have NBA 2K19, The Prelude. This is the game before the storm, I guess. The full game is actually out on September 7th. This is like a free demo that you can download and play, I guess, the beginning sequences for NBA 2K19. We also have Pato Box, which is a boxing quest game with a duck. It's a black and white boxing game, so it's very interesting looking, but you're fighting an evil corporation in search for retribution as you're a battling duck. We have PES, or Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, because Konami's got to make money somewhere, and this is the only fucking game they make anymore that's not a pachinko machine or loosely based on a franchise that they ripped from the heart of the very creator who made them popular in the first fucking place. Fuck Konami. Also, we have Shikando Soul Eater for PS4 and Xbox One. This has been out for a while on Steam. It's very positive. It's a top-down bullet hell shooter. So think like 1942, Ikaruga, a million other shooters. But
totally not what I thought this was when I saw the cover.
Very Japanese. It's got like, I don't know, like anime girls in it, but that are also shooting each other in a bullet hell. It's interesting. We have Strange Brigade for PS4 and Xbox One. This is a 4-player co-op team shooter set in the 1930s. So
this actually looks really cool.
This looks kind of fun.
It has a pulpy feel to it that I can get behind.
Yep, although it is sitting at a mixed review on Steam. A lot of these games have already come out. We're just getting them on console. We have Sunless Sea, the Submariner edition.
Love Sunless Sea.
This is Sunless Sea with the DLC add-ons. So it's a Lovecraftian exploration survival game taking place on a boat. You're looking through a Victorian Gothic universe of fallen London. So London's underwater, and you're driving a boat around trying to find stuff to keep you and your crew alive. You're gonna die a lot, and you might lose your mind or eat your crew. Who knows?
Sunless Sea's been out forever. It's hard for me to say it's a game. There is some gameplay mechanics to it, but for the most part, it's just a very well written choose your own adventure where you kind of explore this fallen London setting, which has been being tacked onto and added for like 6 years now, and it is very well done. If you like reading, as weird as that says about a game, if you like well-written mystery and kind of Lovecraftian horror, it's something I'd really recommend taking a look at. I love Sunless Sea, though. It's a blast.
Well, there you go. Also coming out this week, we have Switchblade for PS4, which is a 5v5 arena-based vehicle action game that's kind of MOBA-y. This is like Twisted Metal MOBA edition. The vibe from it's very Rocket League-esque. Like there's an arena and people cheering and all kinds of ridiculous nonsense, but it's more car combat and looks like you're pushing objectives. It looks kind of stupid and also kind of fun. So who knows? I'm kind of a sucker for card games, especially where you're blowing stuff up. So who knows? I might need to play that. We have the Golf Club 2019 featuring PGA Tour, because PGA games don't need to have the names of famous golfers on the front of them anymore, because if it's not Tiger Woods, it's not going to help it sell. And they don't use that guy anymore because a lot of stuff went down.
Yeah, he had a bad time with some legal issues.
He had a bad time. We're gonna leave it at that. But if you're super into golf, this is your golf game. I'm not, so we're moving on. We have The Messenger coming out for PC and Switch.
So excited for this. I'm in talks with PopCat or Pop Agenda to see if I can get a copy.
This is more new / old school style platforming, retro action platformer, very 8-bit styled. Looks like an old NES game almost, but obviously
it looks like Ninja Gaiden. It looks like Ninja Gaiden had a baby of Metroid, and I am so excited for it.
Yeah, you play as a ninja, and you're on a mission to find a magical scroll, and you got wall climbing and gliding and throwing shurikens and all kinds of cool stuff.
Pop Agenda, you are the guys running PR for The Messenger. I've reached out to you earlier today. If you happen to be watching this, I would love to be sent a copy of The Messenger. I have played it at a couple of the indie mixers. It is an amazing game, and I would love to be able to stream it. Send me a copy, Pop Agenda.
Yeah, do that, Pop Agenda. Also coming out this week, we have Yakuza Kiwami 2 for PS4. This is the sequel to Yakuza Kiwami, which is actually just the remastered version of Yakuza 2, which is the sequel to Yakuza 1. If you follow all that.
No, I didn't. I didn't know this.
They've been remaking the old Yakuza games because they came out for PS2 in like 2005, 2006. But the franchise itself is actually really popular in Japan, and it's interesting. It's fun. It's kind of absurd. Yakuza, I think 6 just came out. We got Yakuza 0, which is set in the 1980s.
There's
and they're
the
trying
zombie
to
one.
they're trying to bring everybody back in by giving you the whole story. Since 0 was a prologue, it's kind of nice that they can bring you back into 1 and 2, but fix the graphics and bring it to a little more modern
I didn't know that's what these
console.
were. I might actually have to play them because I've been wanting to get into Yakuza, but I didn't want to go all the way back to PlayStation 2.
Yeah, no one does. So you can actually play 0, which is a prologue, and then Kiwami 1 and 2. And there you go. And maybe we'll get all the way to Kiwami 5, and then you can finally play 6, which is the one that just came out.
There is one more game I want to bring up that comes out this week, and that's Divinity Original Sin Definitive Edition for the PlayStation 4.
Bastard.
But you want to say it?
I've been waiting this entire time to bring that game up.
All right, bring it up.
Because it is the most important game releasing this week. It is by far the best damn game releasing this week. And if you have any fucking glancing interest in an RPG, buy Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition. You have no reason not to. It's fan-damn-tastic.
I have played the PS4 version a couple weeks ago, the Behind the Closed Doors preview, so I can get an idea of how it was going to control on PlayStation 4. The reason why it's definitive rather than enhanced edition like they did with the first Divinity Original Sin is because they're not really upping the graphics, but there are a bunch of quality of life changes, including epilogues. The developers themselves said the game just kind of ended in a way they didn't like, so they expanded out the endings. This isn't Mass Effect. We're going to throw in something.
The tutorial's longer. There's like another level on the intro ship. There's just more stuff to do. And this is how you do it, other companies. If you own Divinity Original Sin 2 on Steam or on your PC, you get this shit for free when it launches.
But your save will not carry over. Just keep that in mind.
You will have to start over because it's going to be different in a lot of ways, which is the same thing that happened with the Original Sin.
Act 3 specifically is been heavily reworked. Now, one thing I will say is a bit of warning. If you're getting this on PlayStation 4, the control scheme for it, I mean, it works, but it's going to take you like 3 hours to get used to it because it's very complex. There's works, a lot of stuff
going on.
Yeah, it works, but it is something to wrap your head around that's really hard. So there's one more story that was brought to my attention, David. Thank you for going over the releases. Chat brought up one more story. Specifically, Salty Frank was talking about it, so was Introspect. I appreciate both of you guys bringing this up. And it was about this Xbox All Access Pass, or monthly financing program. Now, I will admit, and David probably will join me on here, when it comes to Microsoft, both of us kind of have a blinders on because neither one of us are Xbox guys. We're not fanboys by any stretch of the imagination. It's just neither one of us play it. So when Xbox exclusive news comes out, unless it's really, really big, we tend to overlook it, which is our fault. So I apologize. But I wanted to bring this up because this actually is kind of cool. I am reading an article here from techspot.com. And it talks about the Xbox All Access monthly financing program is real and it launches today. Apparently, what it is Xbox All Access allows qualified buyers to score an Xbox One S or Xbox One X, as well as a 24-month subscription to Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live for $21.99 per month, or $34.99 if you want the Xbox One S.
X,
yes.
Still bad names. Never
it is like buying a smartphone through AT&T.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a pay-as-you-go style service, except for after 2 years you get to keep the thing. So actually, it's exactly like buying a cell phone.
Yeah,
and it works out to be mildly cheaper than buying the console and paying for the Game Pass.
That's hilarious, by the way. I didn't actually do the math on it. That's really goddamn cool, and I kind of wish I saw this article earlier today because I would have definitely included it in here. Thank you once again, chat, for bringing this to my attention. If you want to take a closer look at this article that I'm right now, we'll be sure to link it in the description below if you're watching us on YouTube. What do you think?
This is kind of the best thing they can do to make Game Pass usable, because we've been saying this for a while. If you own a PlayStation and you happen to have a PC that can play games, there's no reason to buy an Xbox. There just isn't. You don't get any benefit. If you have a PC, then you have access to all the Xbox games because of the Play Anywhere system. And all the exclusives are really on PlayStation.
Yeah, so and if you, like you said, if you have a PC, your exclusives are going to be on there.
Obviously, you don't have either, then the Xbox One X is the most powerful console, and you can pay $35 a month and get access to that and a whole bunch of free games, which is pretty damn cool, actually.
A couple things. One, Salty Frank says if you buy Xbox Gold yearly, it's not cheaper. So if they're calculating the price by monthly here, so it is more expensive there. This is great because there are still people who wait until the end of the console generation to actually finally pick one up. For example, there are people who are just now thinking of putting their PlayStation 3 away to pick up PlayStation 4 or an Xbox 360 away to get an Xbox One. I think this is an amazing move, and yet another one of many really cool forward-thinking moves Microsoft has done that is positioning them in a stronger place than Sony is leading into the next generation. You can't deny that the PlayStation 4 is the top-selling console this generation by leaps and bounds. The Switch is doing pretty well, and the Xbox One has done well, but for all intents and purposes, it sounds like, because Microsoft won't give official numbers, it sounds like Microsoft is losing like either 2-1 or 3-1 to Sony if you're counting raw numbers. So Microsoft needs to take extra steps like this, which is why they made the Games Pass, which is why you're doing the Play Anywhere thing, which is why they have the cross-platform thing setting up. And Microsoft is doing all the right moves and earning all this really cool goodwill, so that way when the next generation starts, they're going to be in a stronger position than Sony is. And Sony seems hell-bent on just pissing away all of the support they've had over the past few years with things like refusing to do crossplay, with the PSN still being a fucking joke after all this time. I think Microsoft...
They're still better at online than Nintendo is.
Yeah, granted. I think that if you're saying Microsoft is done, you're making a huge mistake, because I think they're going to come out really goddamn strong the next generation.
Well, because here's the thing. This is a fantastic way to test this strategy.
Yeah.
Because think about it. We're rapidly approaching the point where you may have hardware that's replaceable internals or just less of a big deal. And if all of a sudden they release the next generation Xbox, but it's at this style, you pay $30 a month and you get Xbox One, 2, or whatever the fuck they call it.
They do it like cell phones.
All the next gen games, and meanwhile you have to drop $500, $600 on the PS5. Who's not going to jump all over a $30 a month subscription for an Xbox and also get access to Game Pass, where you're going to get a bunch of new games for free? And after 2 years, they could release new hardware and you could just do the same fucking thing again.
This
just finance the new one. Whereas if you spent $600 on a PS5, if they release PS6 or PS5 2 or PS5 Pro or whatever the hell is going to happen, since the Pro and the X ruined everything, this is going to be the better deal.
This is them doing the cell phone thing, and they'll probably have a trade-in program like cell phones. So, hey, you get your Xbox, let's use cell phones. You got your old Galaxy 6, you want to buy the new Galaxy 7 coming out? We'll knock $100 off the total cost, and instead of spending $29.99, you spend like $25 a month. This is Microsoft trying to turn consoles into cell phones. There are some bads along with that as well, but this lets you update your console constantly. So it should be interesting to see how this shakes out in the future. Now, if this doesn't work for them, this idea is dead in the water. But we are getting closer and closer to that era where technology advances so fast that when a console comes out, it's already obsolete. We're getting closer to that. We're getting to that point where everything is eventually just going to be on a cloud, and you don't even need all that powerful hardware. You just need a really good internet connection. We're getting to that point where everything is going to be Netflix and Hulu and streaming. We're getting closer and closer to that singularity.
And then all the streaming services are still like turning back into cable because Netflix recently added commercials in a beta.
Well, yeah, I remember what we said earlier with all the old games coming back up. Everything old's new again.
Yep, there you go. Also, to get this, you need a Dell Preferred account because the financing goes through Dell Financial Services. Just so
one thing to keep in mind, there's a lot of console war stuff going on. A lot of console war debate going on in chat. And there has never been, except for between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, one company that has dominated the console war. It was Nintendo versus Sega. Nintendo won with the Super Nintendo. Then it was PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64. PlayStation 1 won. It's always changed hands, except between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. But then you had PlayStation 3 come out and Xbox 360. Xbox 360 won that one. Then momentum shifted back to Sony. It's really rare for one company to hold on multiple generations as the guy who wins, quote unquote. So it would be very unusual and atypical rather, to see Sony once again win back-to-back twice. And their hubris is starting to show again. It's that hubris they had with the PlayStation 3 launch when they're like, you'll get a second job to spend money on our $600 console to play Ridge Racer when it first comes out and shoot a giant enemy grab. That hubris is coming back. PlayStation 3 was very harsh on them. They walked it back. They came out with PlayStation 4. They had that amazing conference when Xbox became the arrogant hubris guy of, hey, we're going to lock all of our used game sales and you can't fucking trade games anymore. And they came out with that conference that said, here's how you trade games on PlayStation 4. Handed the disc back and forth.
So great.
Now the pendulum's swinging the other direction. PlayStation 4 is getting that Sony hubris again, and Xbox is quickly turning into the consumer-friendly company.
Xbox is actively tweeting with Nintendo saying, hey, do you want to play Fortnite together? And Nintendo goes, yeah, dude, that sounds fun. They had a commercial with both companies in it.
And then
That's ridiculous.
And then you get people like Bethesda coming out with their Elder Scrolls Legend going, hey, if you're not cross-platform, you ain't getting this game. A direct shot at Sony. So it's going to be really... I'm excited. This competition breeds excellence. You get the best things when there are multiple companies fighting for your dollar. It breeds innovation. It breeds competence. It breeds quality when everyone has to work for your time and money. So I love this. I love going to the next generation. I'm super excited to see what these guys pull out. And David, with that, I think that is going to wrap up GamePoints episode 141.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything left. This is it's a lot of stuff to deal with right now. Also, I do have to call out the fact that you were wrong on the internet. Just a little bit.
I probably was, yeah.
Because Sega vs. Nintendo was absolutely not the first fucking console war. Nintendo holds the only title as being back-to-back console war champions because they also put Atari in the fucking ground with the NES.
No, Atari collapsed before Nintendo came out. Atari collapsed in the Great Video Game Crash of 86. Nintendo came out, I want to say, in 87. So Nintendo didn't even have competition then. So you want to talk about who's wrong? Are you sure?
I feel like they won.
Are you sure? Because Atari wasn't even around when Nintendo came out. I mean, they were, but they were kind of a shadow of their former self because of the video game
which
crash.
means Nintendo won. They beat a shadow.
Yeah, congratulations. That's like saying the Chicago Bulls beat us in a pickup game on one-on-one.
Still undefeated Bulls.
This has been GamePoints episode 141. We do stream live every Monday here at Twitch TV/GamePoints at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for joining us in the chat. Salty Frank, Vince Nitro, Real Pie Master, Introspect. Welcome to the channel, by the way. Always love to have you here. If you cannot tune in Mondays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to watch us live, you can always watch our old shows at youtube.com/c/GamePointsPC. I try to put everything we can up there, as well as reviews, random musings, rants every now and then go up there as well. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePointsPC. You can follow myself, Steven Brown, at CapitalistPig21, and you can follow David Smith over there at Palshlife_Satori. If you like what you see here, regardless of where you're watching, you guys have been on the internet long enough, you know what we want. Likes, subscribes, dislikes, comments, follows, bits, etc. You guys know what's up. You guys know what we all do this for. But if you can't do any of that, I still love having you here. It's always cool to have people to talk with. Anyways, this has been Game Points, and until next time, we're out of here.